Hey there. Before we begin, if you enjoy these kinds of stories, the ones that make you feel something real, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Now, let me tell you about the day Michael Smith's carefully controlled world fell apart. It started in a hotel lobby, with a woman he thought he'd never see again, and a baby who had his eyes. The marble floor of the Pacific Haven Resort caught the late afternoon light and held it, turning the whole lobby into something that felt more like a museum than a hotel. Michael Smith stood at the front desk with his phone in one hand and his driver's license in the other, waiting for the woman behind the counter to finish whatever she was typing into her system. The fountain in the center of the space made this constant low sound, water trickling over stones, meant to be calming, probably expensive as hell to maintain. He wasn't calm. The merger meeting was scheduled for tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. sharp in the villa suite overlooking the ocean, with representatives from Kensington Holdings and their legal team. This whole trip was supposed to be surgical, 3 days max. Sign the papers, shake the hands, get back to San Francisco before the weekend. Michael had done this kind of thing 100 times. Control the environment, control the outcome. He shifted his weight. The woman was still typing. Outside, through the floor-to-ceiling windows, he could see the palm trees doing that thing they did in Montecito, barely moving, like they were too expensive to sway. His shirt collar felt tight. He'd been wearing the same clothes since the flight, and the fabric had that airplane smell. Recycled air and whatever the hell they cleaned the seats with. "Mr. Smith, we have you in the Admiral's suite on the 4th floor. He nodded. Didn't really care which suite. They were all the same after a while. Different views of the same ocean, different arrangements of the same furniture. The revolving door spun. He glanced over, more out of habit than interest. People came and went in places like this. Rich people mostly. People who looked like they belonged. Then she walked in. At first, it didn't register. Just a woman in jeans and a grey sweater that looked like she'd been wearing it too long, carrying a baby against her chest in one of those wrap things. Her hair was pulled back. She had a diaper bag over one shoulder, and this look on her face like she was trying to figure out if she was in the right place. Michael went back to the front desk, took his key card. The woman was explaining something about breakfast hours, but his brain had already started working backwards. Grey sweater, dark blonde hair, the way she held herself, careful, like she was trying not to take up too much space. He turned. She was talking to someone at the concierge desk now, shifting the baby higher on her hip. The baby made a sound. Not crying, just that little grunt babies make when they're waking up or settling down. Michael's chest tightened in a way that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. Jennifer. He knew before his brain caught up. Just knew. The way her shoulders curved inward when she stood still. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear, even when it wasn't in her face. 2 years. Maybe closer to 2.5. He'd stopped counting after the first year, when it became easier to just not think about it. She hadn't seen him yet, or maybe she had, and was pretending she hadn't. The baby shifted again, and she adjusted automatically, this smooth motion like she'd done it 1,000 times. Michael's hands went cold. The woman at the front desk was still talking, something about the spa, the restaurant, the pool hours. He wasn't listening. He was watching Jennifer sign something at the concierge desk, watching her nod at whatever the guy was telling her, watching her turn toward the elevator bank. Their eyes met. She stopped. Just froze there in the middle of the lobby with the baby and the diaper bag, and that look on her face. Not surprise, exactly. Something worse. Something like resignation. The baby made another sound. Jennifer looked down, adjusted the wrap, didn't look back up. Michael felt his feet move before he decided to move them. 3 steps toward her, then 4. Jennifer. She finally looked at him. Up close, there were circles under her eyes, dark ones. Her sweater had a stain near the collar. Baby spit up, probably. The skin around her mouth looked tight. "Michael," her voice was flat, careful. The baby chose that moment to fully wake up. A pair of grey-blue eyes blinked open, unfocused at first, then landing somewhere in Michael's direction. The baby's hand reached up, grabbed a fistful of Jennifer's sweater. Michael stared. He couldn't help it. The baby had this specific way of frowning, eyebrows pulling together, mouth turning down at the corners. Michael had seen that face in the mirror his whole life. His father used to make that face. His grandfather, too, in old photographs. How old? The question came out before he could think about whether he should ask it. Jennifer's jaw tightened. I have to go. Jennifer, I said I have to go. She moved past him, not running, but close. The elevator doors opened like they'd been waiting for her. She stepped inside, turned, and for just a second their eyes met again. The doors closed. Michael stood there in the middle of the lobby with his keycard in his hand and his heart doing something it hadn't done in years, something that felt a lot like panic. Someone bumped into him, apologized, kept walking. The fountain kept trickling. His phone buzzed. Probably his assistant with the final details for tomorrow's meeting. He didn't look at it. The baby's face stayed in his mind. Those eyebrows, that frown. His throat felt tight. He walked back to the front desk. The woman looked up, smiled that professional smile they trained people to smile. Is there a Jennifer Johnson checked in here? The woman typed something, frowned. I'm sorry, I can't give out guest information. It's important. I understand, but please. She looked at him for a long moment. Whatever she saw in his face made her hesitate. There's a Jennifer Johnson listed as part of the events team. She's here for the weekend conference setup, contracted through Coastal Staffing. Michael nodded. His mouth had gone dry. Thank you. He took the elevator to the 4th floor, found his suite, dropped his bag by the door and walked straight to the window. The ocean was doing its thing. Waves coming in, waves going out, seagulls fighting over something on the beach, tourists with their phones out taking pictures of the sunset that was still an hour away. He stood there until the light started to change, until the sky went from blue to pink to that particular shade of purple that only happened on the coast. His phone buzzed again. He ignored it. Somewhere in this building, Jennifer was putting a baby to sleep, a baby who frowned exactly like he did. Michael pressed his forehead against the glass. It was cool. He could hear his own breathing. 2 years ago, he'd ended things. Clean break. That's what he'd told himself. She'd wanted something he couldn't give. Commitment, stability. All the things that required vulnerability, which required weakness, which he'd spent his entire adult life learning to avoid. He'd left, blocked her number, moved on. Except apparently she hadn't been able to move on. Not completely. His reflection stared back at him in the darkening glass. Same face he'd had his whole life. Same ability to make decisions without emotion getting in the way. Except right now, emotion was the only thing he could feel. The baby's hand reaching for Jennifer's sweater. That little frown. Michael turned away from the window, sat down on the edge of the bed. The room was too quiet. He should call his lawyer. That was the logical move. Get ahead of this. Figure out what Jennifer wanted, what this was about, whether what? Whether the baby was his. The thought landed like something physical. He couldn't breathe right. Grey-blue eyes. That frown. The math worked. The timing worked. He stood up, sat back down, stood up again. His phone was on the nightstand. 15 missed calls. 10 texts. He unlocked it with hands that weren't quite steady and scrolled past all the work messages until he found her name. Jennifer Johnson. The last message in the thread was from 2 years ago, from her. Please call me, it's important. He'd never responded. He'd changed his number 2 weeks later. Michael closed his eyes. The air conditioning kicked on, rattling slightly in the vent above the bed. Somewhere down the hall a door slammed. He didn't move. Jennifer sat on the edge of the pull-out couch in the staff quarters and watched Lucas sleep. The room was small, basically a hotel room that had been converted into temporary housing for event workers. Beige walls, carpeting that had seen better days, a window that looked out onto the parking lot instead of the ocean. The air smelled like industrial cleaning solution and old coffee. Lucas was finally down. It had taken an hour of rocking and shushing and that specific humming sound he liked. Now he was sprawled on his back in the portable crib she'd brought, arms thrown over his head, mouth slightly open. He looked so damn peaceful. She didn't feel peaceful. Her hands were shaking, had been shaking since the lobby. She'd managed to hold it together long enough to get upstairs, get Lucas changed and fed, get him to sleep. Now there was nothing left to hold on to. Michael Smith. She'd known there was a chance. Montecito wasn't that big. The Pacific Haven was one of his properties. She'd done her research before taking this job, made sure she wouldn't run into him. He was supposed to be in San Francisco, or New York, or wherever the hell billionaires went when they weren't ruining people's lives. Not here. Not now. Jennifer stood up, walked to the window. The parking lot was full of expensive cars. Tesla, Mercedes, something that looked like it cost more than she'd made in the last 2 years. She pressed her forehead against the glass. Her phone was on the table. 6 missed calls from Diane, her supervisor, probably wondering why she'd disappeared right after check-in. Jennifer had texted something about the baby being fussy, needing to settle him down. Diane had responded with a thumbs-up emoji. Easy. Nothing about this was easy. Lucas made a sound in his sleep, that little whimper that meant he was dreaming. Jennifer turned, watched him. His face relaxed again, that serious expression he got sometimes melting away. She'd noticed the resemblance months ago, noticed and immediately pushed the thought away, but it kept coming back. Every time Lucas concentrated on something, every time he got that look. Her chest felt tight. The coffee maker in the corner was one of those single-serve ones with the little pods. She found a mug in the cabinet, made herself a cup even though it was almost 8 p.m., and caffeine was the last thing she needed. The machine was loud. Lucas stirred but didn't wake. The coffee tasted like burnt plastic. She drank it anyway. When she'd found out she was pregnant, she'd tried, God, she'd tried, called his number, disconnected, sent emails to the address she'd had, all bounced back. She'd even gone to his office building in San Francisco, stood outside for 2 hours before security asked her to leave. The silence had been absolute. Jennifer had taken that silence as an answer. He'd made it clear he didn't want her in his life. Why would he want a baby? So she'd made her choice, alone. Like everything else in her life had been. Lucas was 13 months old now. 13 months of figuring it out as she went. 13 months of night shifts and day shifts and whatever other shifts she could pick up. 13 months of her mother's disappointed sighs and her sister's helpful suggestions that all started with, maybe if she just what? Called Michael again. Showed up at another office building? She'd done that. He'd made his decision. Her phone buzzed. Diane again. Hey, hun, can you help with the morning setup? 6 a.m. in the conference hall. Extra hands needed. Jennifer typed back, sure. Her coffee had gone cold. She dumped it in the sink. Lucas shifted again, rolled onto his side. She watched his chest rise and fall. In the yellow light from the parking lot, he looked exactly like Michael. Same nose, same jaw, same everything. She should have known this would happen eventually, should have stayed away from anything connected to his world. But she needed the money. Needed it desperately. The rent was due next week. Lucas needed new clothes. The car was making a sound that probably meant something expensive. 1 weekend. That's all this was supposed to be. Work the event, collect the paycheck, go home. She hadn't counted on him being here. A knock on the door made her jump. She froze, waited. Another knock. Quieter this time. Jennifer? His voice, through the door. Her heart stopped. I know you're in there. I just want to talk. She looked at Lucas, still asleep. She walked to the door, didn't open it. Go away, Michael. Please. I mean it. Leave. Silence. Then, is he mine? Jennifer closed her eyes. Her hand was on the doorknob, but she couldn't make herself turn it. Jennifer, please. You don't get to do this. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. You don't get to show up after 2 years and... I didn't know. Bullshit. I swear to God I didn't know. She wanted to open the door, wanted to scream at him, wanted to make him feel even a fraction of what she'd felt. Instead, she stood there with her forehead against the cheap wood and her hand on the knob and tried to remember how to breathe. Jennifer. He's asleep. Her voice broke. You need to leave. Tomorrow. Can we talk tomorrow? I don't know. Please. She didn't answer. After a long moment, she heard his footsteps moving away. Down the hall. Gone. Jennifer slid down until she was sitting on the floor with her back against the door. Her hands were shaking again. Worse now. Lucas kept sleeping. His little chest kept rising and falling. The parking lot lights flickered. Somewhere above her, the air conditioning rattled. She sat there until her legs went numb. Then she got up, checked on Lucas one more time, and crawled into the pull-out couch that smelled like other people's problems. Sleep didn't come. She stared at the ceiling and counted the cracks she could see in the dim light. 17. There were 17 cracks. By the time the sun started coming up, turning the room grey instead of black, she'd memorized every single one. Michael didn't sleep, didn't even try. He sat in the chair by the window in his suite and watched the ocean turn from black to grey to blue as the sun came up over the mountains behind him. His phone was face down on the table. He'd turned off all notifications around midnight after his assistant called for the third time asking about the merger meeting. The merger meeting. Right. That thing that was supposed to happen in 2 hours. He couldn't think about it. All he could think about was the baby's face. The way Jennifer had looked at him in the hallway. Not angry exactly, but something worse. Tired. Like she'd already fought this fight in her head 1,000 times and lost every single one. Around 6 a.m. he gave up on sitting still. Took a shower. The water was too hot. Then too cold when he tried to adjust it. He stood under the spray and tried to organize his thoughts the way he organized board meetings. Facts first, then implications, then action items. Fact, Jennifer was here. Fact, she had a baby. Fact, the baby looked exactly like him. Implication, the baby was probably his. Implication, she'd tried to tell him. Implication, he'd cut her off completely. Action item, fix this. Except he had no idea how to fix this. This wasn't a contract negotiation. This wasn't something he could solve with lawyers and money and carefully worded clauses. This was a human being, a baby. He couldn't finish the thought. Michael got out of the shower, got dressed, dark jeans, white button-down. He stared at his reflection in the bathroom mirror. Same face he'd had yesterday. Didn't feel like the same person. His father had died when Michael was 12. Heart attack. Quick, the doctors had said. Like that made it better. His mother had remarried within 2 years, some investment banker from Connecticut who smiled too much and called Michael Champ. They had 2 more kids, Michael's half-siblings. He saw them at Christmas sometimes. He'd learned early that people left, that attachment meant vulnerability, that the only thing you could really control was yourself. So that's what he'd done. Built walls, made rules, kept things simple. Jennifer had been the first person in years who'd made him want to break those rules. And that had terrified him. So he'd done what he always did when things got too real. He'd left first. Michael grabbed his phone. 43 unread messages. He scrolled through them without really reading. Something from his lawyer, something from the Kensington people about the meeting, something from his mother, probably asking when he'd visit. He opened a new message, typed Jennifer's name, deleted it, tried again. Deleted it again. What was he supposed to say? Sorry, I ghosted you 2 years ago and accidentally abandoned our child. He set the phone down, walked to the window. The beach was starting to fill up with morning joggers and people walking dogs. A woman in yoga pants was setting up a tripod, probably for one of those sunrise photo shoots that tourists did. Normal people doing normal things. Michael felt like he was watching from another planet. His phone buzzed. His assistant. Mr. Smith, the Kensington team is in the villa. Should I tell them you're on your way? He looked at the message for a long time, then typed, cancel it. The response came back immediately. Cancel the meeting. Sir, this has been scheduled for months. I said cancel it. Reschedule for next week. Something came up. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Understood, I'll handle it. Michael pocketed his phone, looked at himself in the mirror one more time. Then he left. The staff quarters were on the 2nd floor in the east wing. He'd walked past them 100 times when he was doing inspections of the property. Never really thought about who stayed there. Never cared. Now he cared. The hallway was narrow, fluorescent lights overhead, carpeting that didn't match the rest of the hotel. Budget cuts. Probably his decision. He couldn't remember. Room 247. That's what the front desk had told him last night after he'd basically begged. Jennifer Johnson, contracted through Coastal Staffing, checked in yesterday at 4:47 p.m. He stood outside the door, raised his hand. Couldn't make himself knock. What if she told him to leave again? What if the baby wasn't his? What if the baby was his, and she didn't want him involved? What if he'd already fucked this up beyond repair? The door opened. Jennifer stood there with the baby on her hip, and this look on her face like she'd known he was coming. It's 6:30 in the morning. I know. I have to work. I know that too. She just stared at him. The baby was awake now, blinking at Michael with serious eyes. Up close, the resemblance was even more obvious. Michael felt something crack open in his chest. Can I come in? No. Jennifer, you don't get to do this, Michael. You don't get to show up now and act like... She stopped. The baby reached for her face, grabbed a handful of her hair. She gently untangled his fingers. I have to get ready for work. Call in sick. I need this job. I'll pay you whatever you would have made. Her eyes went cold. Of course you will, because that's how you solve everything, right? Just throw money at it until it goes away. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? The baby started fussing. Jennifer shifted him. Started that automatic bouncing thing parents did. Michael watched her. The skin around her mouth was tight. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail that had come half undone. She was wearing the same jeans from yesterday, different sweater. This one was blue. There was a coffee stain on the sleeve. I didn't know, he said quietly. I swear I didn't know. I tried to tell you. I know. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you just decided I wasn't worth your time anymore. That's not... He stopped, took a breath. Can we please not do this in the hallway? She looked at him for a long moment, then stepped back. 5 minutes. The room was exactly what he expected. Small, functional, depressing. There was a portable crib in the corner, a diaper bag on the chair, baby clothes hanging over the back of another chair to dry. The air smelled like formula and laundry detergent. Jennifer set the baby down in the crib. The baby immediately protested, reaching for her. She gave him a pacifier. He took it, still watching Michael with those serious eyes. His name is Lucas, Jennifer said. She was standing with her arms crossed, putting as much space between them as the room allowed. He's 13 months old. He likes bananas and hates carrots. He's starting to walk. He doesn't sleep through the night yet. Michael couldn't look away from the crib. Is he mine? Jennifer's laugh was bitter. What do you think? I think I need to hear you say it. Fine, yes, Lucas is your son. She said it flatly, like she was reading something off a grocery list. There, you heard it, now you can leave. Michael felt his knees go weak. He sat down on the edge of the pull-out couch before he could fall down. A son. He had a son. Why didn't you... He stopped, shook his head. I tried to reach you. You blocked me. I changed my number. I sent emails. I never got them. Jennifer's face changed. Bullshit. I'm not lying. I sent... He pulled out his phone, scrolled through his sent folder, found the messages from 2 years ago, held the phone out to her. She didn't take it. That's not my email. What? That email address, Jennifer Johnson, 1989 under Gmail. That's not mine. Mine is Jennifer L. Johnson Igmail. Michael stared at the screen, then back at her. Someone gave me the wrong... He stopped. The pieces were starting to come together. Who did you talk to when you tried to reach me? I called your office. They said you'd changed your number. I sent emails to the address I had. They all bounced. I even went to your building. Security threw me out. When? Does it matter? When, Jennifer? 2 years ago, right after I found out I was pregnant. Michael closed his eyes. His head of security had been Richard Callahan, loyal, efficient, also convinced that anyone trying to bother Michael was either a threat or a distraction. Michael had given him carte blanche to handle potential problems. Apparently Jennifer had been classified as a problem. Someone blocked you. His voice came out hollow. They had my new number. They knew I'd changed it. They gave you the wrong email. They probably told security to keep you away. Jennifer just stared at him. You expect me to believe that? That you had no idea? I know how it sounds. It sounds like bullshit, Michael. It sounds like something a lawyer told you to say. The baby, Lucas, started crying. Real crying this time. Not just fussing. Jennifer went to him immediately, picked him up, held him against her chest. He buried his face in her neck. You need to leave, she said. Her voice was shaking now. I have to get him fed and get to work, and I can't do this right now. Michael stood up. Every instinct told him to push harder, to make her understand, to fix this immediately. But she looked like she was about to break. Tonight, he said, after you're done working. Please, just give me 1 hour. Michael, 1 hour. That's all I'm asking. She looked at him over Lucas's head. Her eyes were red. Fine. 1 hour. Now get out. He left. Walked back down the hallway with his hands shaking and his heart doing something that felt like it might be hope. A son. He had a son named Lucas who liked bananas and hated carrots. Michael made it to the elevator before he had to stop and lean against the wall. His breath came short. The hallway was empty. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. He stayed there until his hands stopped shaking. Jennifer made it through the morning setup by moving on autopilot, folding chairs, arranging tables, testing the sound system in the main conference hall. Lucas was with the resort's childcare service, something Diane had arranged, thank God, because Jennifer couldn't afford a sitter and couldn't exactly work with a baby on her hip. She'd checked on him 3 times already. The girl watching him, maybe 19 with pink streaks in her hair, had smiled each time. He's great, seriously. We're playing with blocks. Jennifer had nodded, left. Come back 15 minutes later to check again. By noon, Diane pulled her aside. You okay, hun? Diane was in her 50s, had this warm Georgia accent that made everything sound softer than it was. You seem distracted. I'm fine. Jennifer, really, I'm good. Diane looked at her for a long moment. The conference doesn't start until tomorrow. Why don't you take the afternoon? Get some rest. You look like you need it. Jennifer wanted to argue. Needed the hours. But her hands were shaking, and her head felt like it was full of static. Okay, thanks. She picked up Lucas from childcare. He'd had a full bottle and a nap, according to the girl with pink hair. He smiled when he saw Jennifer, reached for her. That smile. It killed her every time. Back in the room, she laid him on the bed for a diaper change. He kicked his legs, grabbed his toes. She ran her hand over his soft hair. He'd been born with almost nothing. Now it was coming in light brown, like Michael's, like the photos she'd seen back when they were together. Her throat went tight. She finished the diaper change, put Lucas in clean clothes, sat on the floor with him while he played with the soft blocks she'd brought. He stacked 2, knocked them down, laughed. Jennifer watched him and tried not to think about anything. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. It's Michael, the restaurant downstairs, 7 p.m. I'll get us a private room, please. She stared at the message, deleted it. Then immediately regretted deleting it, because now she didn't have the number to text back no. Lucas threw a block. It hit her knee. He laughed again. What do you think? She asked him. Should I hear him out? Lucas babbled something, reached for the block. Yeah, that's what I thought too. At 6:30, she was standing in front of the mirror trying to decide if she cared what she looked like. The answer was no. Also, yes. Also, she hated herself for caring. She changed Lucas into the one nice outfit he had. Tiny jeans and a button-up shirt that was probably too fancy for a baby, but her sister had given it to her, and she never had anywhere to use it. Then she changed herself. Dark jeans, black sweater, the only pair of boots she owned that didn't have salt stains. Her reflection stared back at her. Whatever. Good enough. The restaurant was called The Coastline. Jennifer had walked past it twice yesterday, all white tablecloths and ocean views and prices that probably didn't have dollar signs, because if you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. The hostess smiled when she approached. Are you Ms. Johnson? Yeah, right this way. They walked through the main dining room, half-full, quiet conversations, the sound of silverware on expensive plates, and into a hallway. The hostess opened a door to a private room. Michael was already there, standing by the window. He turned when she walked in. He'd changed too. Different shirt. His hair was wet like he'd just showered. He looked as nervous as she felt, which was somehow satisfying. "Hi," he said. "Hi." Lucas chose that moment to make himself known, reaching toward the table that was set for two. Jennifer adjusted him on her hip. "I can have them bring in a high chair," Michael said quickly. "Or do you need anything, formula, or I don't know what babies need?" "He's fine." Silence. Michael pulled out a chair. "Please, sit." Jennifer sat. Lucas immediately tried to grab the fork. She moved it out of reach. There was a bread basket. She pulled off a piece, handed it to him. He gummed it happily. Michael sat down across from them, didn't touch the water glass in front of him. "Thank you for coming. You said 1 hour." "Right. Yeah." He rubbed his jaw. I don't know how to do this." "Do what?" "This, any of this." He gestured vaguely. I don't have kids. I don't know what I'm supposed to say." "You could start with why you left." His face changed. "I was scared." Jennifer laughed. It came out bitter. "Scared? Of what?" "Of you. Of what you made me feel." He was looking at her now. Really looking. "I told myself I was doing the right thing. That I wasn't good at relationships. That you deserved someone better. Someone who could give you what you needed." "What I needed was you." "I know that now." Lucas dropped his bread, started fussing. Jennifer dug in the diaper bag for the spare pacifier. Found it. He took it. Settled. "When I found out I was pregnant," Jennifer said quietly, "I was terrified. But I was also, I don't know, happy. I thought maybe you'd come around, that we could figure it out." She looked at him. "I called 47 times. Michael flinched. "I sent 32 emails. I showed up at your office building on a Tuesday in October when it was raining and I didn't have an umbrella. Security told me to leave. I stood there for 2 hours anyway." Her voice was shaking now. "I did everything I could think of to reach you, and you never responded, not once. I know what you said, that someone blocked me, that they gave me the wrong information, and maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. But you know what? It doesn't matter." "How does it not matter?" "Because you made it possible, Michael. You're the one who cut me off. You're the one who changed your number and didn't tell me. You're the one who built this whole system designed to keep people out. So yeah, maybe someone else physically blocked my calls, but you created the environment where that could happen, where I could disappear and you wouldn't even notice." Michael's face had gone pale. "You're right." She hadn't expected that. "What?" "You're right. All of it. I did that." He leaned forward. "I spent 2 years telling myself I made the right choice, that walking away was the mature thing to do, that I was protecting you from my shit. But I was just protecting myself, and you paid the price." Lucas made a sound. They both looked at him. He was falling asleep, pacifier starting to slip from his mouth. Jennifer adjusted him so his head was against her shoulder. "I can't change what happened," Michael said. "I can't give you back those 2 years. But I'm here now, and I need to be part of his life, part of your life, if you'll let me." Jennifer felt her eyes burn. "You don't get to just decide that." "I understand. You don't get to walk back in and expect everything to be fine." "I know. He doesn't even know you." "Then let me change that." Michael's voice cracked. "Please, I'm asking. I'm begging you to let me try." Jennifer looked down at Lucas. He was fully asleep now, his little hand curled around her sweater. This was the moment. This was where she could say no, where she could protect him from the possibility of being abandoned again. Or she could say yes. She could take the risk that maybe Michael meant it this time. "One step at a time," she said finally. "You don't get to make promises you can't keep. You don't get to blow up our life and then disappear when it gets hard." "I won't. You don't know that." "Fair. He met her eyes. "But I'm asking you to trust me anyway." Jennifer sat there holding her son and trying to decide if trust was something she could afford. Outside the window, the sun was setting. The ocean was turning gold. A waiter knocked, opened the door. "Should I bring out the first course?" "Give us a minute," Michael said, not looking away from Jennifer. The door closed. Lucas shifted in his sleep, made that little sound he made when he was dreaming. "Okay," Jennifer said, one step at a time. Michael's whole body seemed to relax. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. You have no idea what you just signed up for." He smiled. Small, real. "I think I'm starting to figure it out." They ordered food. Jennifer ate one-handed while Lucas slept on her shoulder. Michael asked questions about the pregnancy, the birth, what Lucas was like, what he needed. Jennifer answered some, deflected others. It was strange, surreal, sitting across from the man who'd broken her heart while their son slept between them. By the time they finished, it was after 9. Lucas was starting to stir. "I should get him to bed," Jennifer said. "Can I—" Michael stopped. "Can I walk you back?" She hesitated, then nodded. They walked through the hotel in silence. Lucas woke up, looked around, spotted Michael, stared at him with those serious eyes. "Hi, Lucas," Michael said softly. Lucas just blinked. At her door, Jennifer shifted the diaper bag, tried to find her key card. Michael held out his hand. "I can hold him, if you want." Jennifer froze. Every instinct screamed no, but she looked at Michael's face, saw something there she hadn't seen before. "Okay, just for a second." She handed Lucas over, watched Michael's face change when he felt the weight of him. Lucas looked up at his father, reached for his face with one chubby hand. Michael laughed. It sounded like something breaking open. Jennifer found her key card, opened the door. I know." Michael handed Lucas back carefully, like he was afraid of dropping something precious. "Tomorrow. I'm working." "After." She should say no, should keep her distance, should protect herself and Lucas from the possibility of this ending badly. "After," she heard herself say. Michael smiled. "Okay, after." He left. Jennifer went inside, laid Lucas in the crib, changed him into pajamas, gave him his bottle, sang the song she always sang. When he finally fell asleep, she sat on the floor next to the crib and cried. Not because she was sad, not because she was happy, just because she finally could. The weekend blurred together in a series of moments Jennifer hadn't prepared for. Saturday morning, Michael showed up at her room at 7 with coffee. Real coffee, not the burnt stuff from the staff lounge. He'd also brought breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, fruit, enough for 2. "I didn't know if you'd eaten," he said, hovering in the doorway like he wasn't sure if he was allowed in. Jennifer had been up since 5 with Lucas, who'd decided sleeping was optional. She took the coffee. "Come in." They sat on the floor and ate while Lucas played between them. Michael was awkward at first, asking permission before touching anything, like he was afraid of messing up. But Lucas didn't care about awkward. He crawled over, pulled himself up using Michael's knee, grinned. "He's getting stronger every day," Michael said, steadying him. "Welcome to toddlerhood." "Right, yeah. I should probably read some books or something." "There are books. I'll read them." Jennifer watched him watching Lucas. Something in her chest loosened just slightly. Sunday, Michael cancelled another meeting. Jennifer only knew because Diane mentioned it. Something about the resort's owner rescheduling a major investor event. "Must be important," Diane had said. "I've never seen him cancel anything." Jennifer didn't tell her that the important thing was currently drooling on a toy truck. Monday, Jennifer's contract was supposed to end. She was packing up when Michael knocked. "Stay," he said. "What?" "Stay. Another week. I'll cover everything. The room, food, whatever you need. Just stay, please." "Michael." "I know I don't have the right to ask, but I'm asking anyway." Lucas chose that moment to toddle over. He'd gotten so much better at standing and taking a few wobbly steps in just the last few days, and grabbed Michael's hand, looked up at him like he'd known him forever. "Okay," Jennifer heard herself say. "One more week." That week turned into a conversation. Michael told her about his childhood, the father who died too young, The mother who remarried and forgot about her first family. The way he'd learned to need nothing from anyone. Jennifer told him about her own mess, the family who'd never approved of her choices, the friends who'd disappeared when she got pregnant, the loneliness that had become so familiar she'd stopped noticing it. They talked in the small hours of the morning when Lucas finally slept. They talked over coffee at dawn. They talked while Lucas played, one or both of them always watching him, always making sure he was safe. "I'm still angry," Jennifer said one night. They were sitting on the floor of her room, Lucas asleep in the crib, the room lit only by the parking lot lights outside. "You should be. I'm angry that I had to do this alone, that you weren't there. I understand. And I'm scared that this is temporary, that you'll get bored or overwhelmed and leave again." Michael was quiet for a long time. Then, "I'm scared too." "Of what?" "That I'm going to fuck this up, that I'm going to be the kind of father mine was, distant, emotionally unavailable, dead before his kid really knew him." He looked at her. "I'm scared that I won't be enough. For Lucas, for you. You don't need to be enough for me." "Don't I?" Jennifer didn't answer, because the truth was complicated. The truth was, she'd spent 2 years hating him, and the last week remembering why she'd loved him in the first place. On Thursday, Michael suggested something crazy. "Come to San Francisco," Jennifer laughed. "What?" "Come to San Francisco, both of you. There's a house, not mine, one of the company properties. It's empty. You could stay there, take your time figuring things out." "Michael, I'm not asking you to make a decision. I'm asking you to give this a chance. Give us a chance." "There is no us." "Then give Lucas a chance to know his father, really know him, not just a weekend here and there." Jennifer looked at Lucas. He was stacking blocks again, concentrating so hard his tongue poked out between his lips. "I can't just move to San Francisco." "Why not?" "Because I have a job, an apartment, a life." "What kind of job?" She glared at him. "It pays the bills." "Barely. That's not the point." "What is the point?" "The point is you don't get to just swoop in and fix everything with money and houses and—" She stopped, took a breath. "I need to do this myself." "You have been doing it yourself, for 2 years. I'm not trying to take that away from you. I'm trying to help." "It feels like taking over." "It's not. I swear it's not." Michael moved closer, not touching but close. "I want to be part of this, part of his life. The messy parts, the hard parts, all of it, but I can't do that from 200 miles away. So I'm supposed to uproot my entire life? I'm supposed to let my son grow up without me?" The words hung there. My son. The first time he'd said it like that, like it was real. Jennifer felt something crack in her chest. "This is too fast," she whispered. "I understand. I don't trust you yet." "That makes sense." "Lucas needs stability, routine. We can't just... So, let me give him that. Let me try." Jennifer closed her eyes, felt the tears coming and couldn't stop them. "What if you leave again?" "I won't." "You don't know that." "You're right. I don't." Michael's voice was rough. "But I'm asking you to trust me anyway. I'm asking you to take a chance on the possibility that maybe I've learned something. That maybe losing you and Lucas was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and I'm not going to make that mistake twice." Lucas knocked over his blocks, laughed. Jennifer opened her eyes, looked at Michael. Really looked. He wasn't the same person he'd been 2 years ago. Or maybe he was, but he was also something more now. Something scared and hopeful and desperate. She recognized it because she felt it too. "If I do this," she said slowly, "there are rules." "Okay. You don't make promises you can't keep. You don't disappear. And you don't use money to solve problems that need actual conversation. Done. And if you hurt him, if you hurt Lucas, I will make sure you regret it." "I believe you. I mean it, Michael." "I know." He reached for her hand, stopped, asked with his eyes. She nodded. He took her hand. "I know." They sat there on the floor of a hotel room that smelled like baby wipes and old carpet, holding hands while their son played with blocks. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't fixed. But it was something. It was a beginning. The next week, Jennifer gave notice on her apartment in Sacramento, packed up everything they owned, which fit in the back of her beat-up Honda with room to spare, drove to San Francisco with Lucas in the back seat, babbling at his reflection in the window. The house was in Pacific Heights. Of course it was. 3 stories, Victorian, the kind of place she'd never imagined living. Michael met her at the door. "Welcome home," he said. Jennifer looked at him, then at the house, then at Lucas, who was reaching for Michael with both hands. "It's not home," she said. "Not yet. But maybe it could be." She thought about it, about trust and fear and the possibility of something she'd stopped letting herself imagine. "Maybe," she said. Michael smiled, took Lucas from her arms. Lucas grabbed his face with both hands, laughed. "Maybe is good enough," Michael said. Jennifer followed them inside. Behind her, the door closed. 18 months later. The house in Pacific Heights had been renovated. Not completely. Jennifer had put her foot down about that, but enough. The 3rd floor was now Lucas's domain. Toys everywhere, books, that hideous play kitchen that played the same 3 songs on repeat. Jennifer stood in the doorway watching Michael try to teach Lucas how to stack blocks in a specific pattern. Lucas was having none of it. He kept knocking the blocks over and laughing. "He's doing it wrong," Michael said. "He's 2.5. There is no wrong." "I'm trying to teach him spatial reasoning. You're trying to turn him into you." Michael looked up, grinned. "Would that be so bad?" Jennifer walked over, sat down next to them. Lucas immediately crawled into her lap. "Not bad, just impossible. He's his own person. He has my stubborn streak. That's definitely mine. Keep telling yourself that." They sat there in the mess of blocks and board books, while Lucas played. The afternoon light came through the window at that particular San Francisco angle that turned everything gold. Jennifer's phone buzzed. Her sister, again. "Mom wants to know when you're bringing Lucas to visit." Jennifer sighed. Her relationship with her family was still complicated. They'd been shocked when she moved to San Francisco, more shocked when they found out about Michael. The money made them nervous, the whole situation made them nervous, but they were trying, and so was she. "Next month," she typed back. "We'll come for Thanksgiving." Michael was watching her. "You okay?" "Yeah, just family stuff." "Want to talk about it?" "Not right now." "Okay." That was the thing that still surprised her. The fact that he didn't push, that he'd actually learned to listen. It hadn't been easy. Those first few months in San Francisco had been rough. Arguments about money, about boundaries, about what they were to each other. Jennifer had moved into the house as Lucas's mother. Michael's relationship with her was undefined, complicated. They still hadn't figured it all out, but they were figuring it out together. Lucas started fussing, tired. It was almost nap time. "I'll put him down," Michael said, reaching for him. Jennifer hesitated. Old habits. But she handed Lucas over, watched Michael carry him to the crib in the corner, watched him rock Lucas gently, singing something off-key. Lucas's eyes drifted shut. Michael came back, sat down next to her, close enough that their shoulders touched. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For staying, for giving me a chance, for—" He gestured vaguely at the room, at Lucas, at everything. All of it. Jennifer leaned her head on his shoulder. "Thank you for showing up. I'm going to keep showing up." "You better." They sat there until the light shifted, until Lucas's breathing deepened into real sleep, until the house settled around them. Michael's phone buzzed. Work, probably. It was always work, but he ignored it. "I should start dinner," Jennifer said. Didn't move. "Probably." Neither of them moved. "Michael?" "Yeah?" "I'm glad you found us. That day in the lobby." He turned to look at her. "Me too. Even though I was furious. Especially because you were furious." She smiled. Then, "I think I'm ready." "Ready for what?" "To figure out what we are. What this is. Us." Michael went very still. "Yeah?" "Yeah." She sat up, looked at him properly. "I'm not saying I have it all figured out. I'm not saying I'm not still scared. But I'm saying, I want to try, really try. Jennifer, don't make it weird, just kiss me or something. So he did. It felt like a second chance, like maybe some mistakes could be fixed if you were willing to do the work. Lucas stirred but didn't wake. Outside, the city kept moving. Traffic on California Street. The fog starting to roll in off the bay. People living their lives, unaware of the small miracles happening in houses like this one. Michael pulled back, smiled. So what now? Now we keep going, one day at a time. I can do that. You sure? Because I come with a lot of baggage, a kid, trust issues. I'm terrible at asking for help. Sounds perfect to me. Jennifer laughed. You're such a liar. Maybe, but I'm your liar now. Is that supposed to be romantic? Is it working? She kissed him again. Unfortunately, yes. They sat there on the floor of their son's room, holding hands, while the afternoon turned to evening and the city lights started coming on one by one. It wasn't the life Jennifer had imagined. It wasn't simple or easy or guaranteed, but it was theirs, and that was enough. A message from the author. Some endings aren't really endings. They're just the place where one chapter closes and another begins. Michael and Jennifer's story isn't finished. They still have work to do, on themselves, on their relationship, on figuring out how to be the parents Lucas deserves. But they're doing it together now, that's what matters. Maybe you've been in Jennifer's position. Doing it alone when you shouldn't have to. Wondering if the person who left will ever come back. Trying to protect your heart while also hoping for a miracle. Or maybe you've been Michael, making choices that seemed right at the time but turned out to be the worst mistakes of your life. Trying to figure out if it's too late to fix things. If you even deserve a second chance. The truth is, we're all a little bit broken. We all carry wounds we don't know how to heal. We all make decisions we regret. But sometimes, not always, but sometimes, we get the chance to start over, to do better, to choose love, even when it's scary. Jennifer chose to trust again. Michael chose to stay. Lucas got to know his father. That's not nothing. And you? What would you do if someone you'd given up on came back into your life? Would you slam the door, or would you crack it open, just a little, to see if this time maybe things could be different?